Frequency, Chapter 9, Part 2. It was several seconds before Addie spoke again, and she sounded breathless.
Princess, are you saying that you found me? Yes, Miss Longstaff, that is precisely what I am saying.
Something between a gasp and a sob burst from the speakers.
I was starting to think it wouldn't happen. Does this mean you can guide me to Equestria?
There was no hesitation in Luna's response.
Yes. Oh, merciful God. Vinyl!
Vinyl heard her friend's sobs and realized that she too had tears. She smiled, set her cocoa down on the windowsill, and took the microphone in her hooves.
It's all coming together. Hey, Addie. I'm really looking forward to seeing your face.
Addie just kept crying, so Vinyl turned her attention to the princess.
Thank you, Princess Luna. I knew we could count on you. But of course.
Luna replied haughtily.
I am the Princess of the Nights. I know the stars like the back of my hoof.
Vinyl rubbed her cheeks and grinned.
So, why did it take 4 months?
Luna smoothly countered.
Well, I had an ignorant junior princess to educate on the matter.
Laughter burst from Vinyl's lips, and even Addie managed to giggle through her weeping.
You're all right, Princess.
Vinyl declared.
Does Twilight know you're talking about her like that? She's easy to torment.
Luna chuckled.
Make sure to thank her when you next hear from her. She's been working very hard on this project. We will.
Addie managed to choke out. Vinyl smirked at the microphone.
Although, we'll be sure to let her know that you're getting all the credit. Please do. It will make for a most entertaining conversation afterward.
Luna's tone grew abruptly soft.
I must warn you both that this journey will not be a short one.
Addie took a long breath, her sobs at last reduced to mere sniffles.
How long will it take?
Luna hesitated, prompting Vinyl to glance at the radio uncertainly.
Please understand that this is only an estimate. Addie, something must be speeding the rate of travel of the radio waves, because if we are accurate about your distance, then we should not be able to communicate without a time lapse. One more mystery,
Vinyl replied with a dismissive wave of her hoof.
Addie is chock full of those. So it seems.
Luna agreed. When Addie said nothing, she continued.
If our estimates regarding your potential velocity and distance are accurate, Miss Longstaff, it will take you at least 2 years to reach us.
Vinyl sucked in a sharp breath.
2 years? Give or take 4 months. Whoa.
Vinyl leaned back against the bed and stared at the driving snow.
That's amazing. Addie?
Addie was silent for a long time. Vinyl slowly took her hot cocoa and sipped it, barely noting that it had cooled from burning to merely warm. The shadows continued to dance around her, but the dance seemed a sad one.
2 years.
Addie's voice was firm.
I've been out here for almost 2.5 as it is. I can take another 2. At least now I have a destination. I am pleased you are so positive,
Luna said.
We intend to give you instructions tomorrow night. For now, take this time to celebrate. We all deserve it.
Vinyl smiled and nodded.
Thanks, Princess. Thank you.
Addie said quietly.
Thank you so much. You are welcome. Have a happy hearthwarming, you two.
Vinyl continued to stare at the shadows, her mind wandering. Addie was coming to Equestria. It seemed impossible, but there it was.
Vinyl? I'm here. I don't know what to say.
With a smile, Vinyl sipped her cocoa.
You don't have to say anything, Addie. But no.
With no better option, and feeling just a little silly, Vinyl reached over and patted the radio.
It's okay. Let's just enjoy this moment, huh? Yeah. Thanks.
The room was filled with silence. Vinyl devoted herself to her cocoa and the dancing shadows, delighting in a warm feeling that welled up inside. It was like being close to a fire, but in a good way. The sensation swelled inside her, possessing a subtle power that made her eyes water. She set the mic aside, just in case. She wasn't about to start crying, but if she did, she sure as Tartarus wasn't going to let Addie hear it. She just couldn't believe how good she felt. After all this time, Addie was coming to Equestria. She'd helped some pony, really helped. For the first time in her life, Vinyl felt as though she'd done something worthwhile. She set her empty cup aside and approached the window, the blanket slipping off. The glass was frigid beneath her hoof. She delighted in that touch. Was it like touching a ghost?
Are you proud of me, Dad?
She pressed her cheek against the window, her lips turned up in a big smile.
I helped some pony. Just like some pony helped you. It feels so good. Is this how it felt when you worked so hard for me?
There was no response, but Vinyl felt that powerful warmth enveloping her, like a big, happy, loving hug. She jumped with a gasp. Some pony had knocked on her front door. She shook off the surprise and hastily rubbed her cheeks dry. Grumbling over a killed mood, she turned and grabbed the microphone.
Addie, give me a minute. I need some more cocoa.
A second knock made her growl.
And some pony is actually knocking on my door on Hearth-Swarming Eve. Huh?
Addie said.
Oh, okay then.
Vinyl dropped the mic, grabbed her mug, and stalked into her kitchen. She had no idea who might be calling at her door tonight of all nights, but if it wasn't for a good reason, she'd buck them in the teeth. She set her mug on the table and went for the front door. She scowled as a third, more forceful knock reverberated through her apartment.
If this is some knucklehead hoping to get an interview with Addie.
She jerked open the door, prepared to deliver a verbal onslaught, but her words caught in her throat. Flash Sentry sat outside the threshold, shivering despite a thick red coat. It's about time you opened up. Do you have an idea how cold it is out here?
What the buck are you doing here?
She cried.
I thought you were with your parents.
Explanation later, he said, rubbing his shoulders. Help me get this inside. He reached over and pulled something that had been hidden in the darkness. It was a brightly wrapped box, and a big one at that. Vinyl gaped. You
bought me a Hearth-Swarming gift?
And I've been lugging it all the way from the castle in this weather. Can I please come in now?
Right.
Vinyl stepped out, taking the bite of the colds to help push the heavy box through her doorway. It was tall enough to reach up to her shoulders. Her mind ran circles, still trying to work through the facts that Flash had bought her a gift. She glanced at him, but he didn't return the look. Once the box was inside, she closed the door and relocked it. Flash collapsed on top of the gift, his wings drooping to the floor. Oh, that was rough. Thank the goddess for Pegasus down. I might have become a popsicle without it.
What were you thinking?
She shoved him.
Why didn't you just bring it earlier before the sun went down?
He stood up properly and stretched, shaking his wings to get the snow off. I couldn't. I was paying little Castor back for that time I owed her. She would choose Hearth-Swarming, of course. Vinyl stared at him as he removed his coat, then at the gift.
Flash, why? I didn't get you anything.
Doesn't matter. He relaxed and patted the box. You don't give gifts expecting something in return. That's not the point.
But what are you even doing here? You said you were going home to spend Hearth-Swarming with your parents.
Plans change. He gestured to the box. Are you gonna open it or what? She gaped at him, then slowly approached the gift. Why did she feel so anxious? Part of her wanted to refuse the gift outright, but she forced herself to find the seam and the wrapping paper. It only took a couple of rips before she realized what was inside, at which point she hurriedly removed the rest of the wrapping. It was a synthesizer. Vinyl's jaw dropped as she rubbed her hoof along the corner of the box. Then she spotted the brand name.
This is a mini-Duke,
she whispered. Her haunches hit the floor and her heart pounded in her throat.
This takes top of the line to a whole new level. Flash, this had to have cost you a fortune.
He grinned. You know, you're not supposed to ask about the price.
I can't accept this.
She turned to him.
Flash, you can't spend that kind of money on me. What were you thinking?
He rubbed the back of his head with a lopsided smile. Well, you were complaining about having to rent a studio to work on your new album, and how you have to pay them to store the recordings too, and then how you had to walk halfway across the city just to get to the studio, and how the studio's equipment wasn't up to snuff, and so on and so forth. I thought this would save you a lot of time, and bits.
But... a mini-duke? This is...
Vinyl felt lightheaded, and promptly leaned against the box.
Wow.
He chuckled. I take it you like it.
Are you kidding? This is the most amazing, the most incredible...
She stared down at the box, her forehooves pressed on top of it. The anxiety came back 100-fold as she looked up at him.
Flash... Why did you do this?
Flash's cheeks went red, and his eyes danced about the apartment. After a few seconds, he shrugged. I just wanted to. She shifted, then sat properly by the box.
Why did you come here tonight? What about your parents?
At that question, he smiled warmly. We have a belief in my family. No pony should be alone for heartswarming. I wrote Mom and Dad about you. Not only do they understand, they were encouraging. He leaned forward to stare intently into her eyes. I'm not letting you spend tonight alone in your apartment. Vinyl had no idea what to say. Butterflies were merrily flying through her insides, and she wasn't sure if she wanted to throw up or sing. She gazed upon Flash, and realized just how good a stallion he was. If Velvet knew what was going through her mind at this moment, she'd never hear the end of it, but... Goddess, why did he have to be so cute to boot? Her eyes fell on the box at her side. It really was going to be a lifesaver. Flash had just solved so many of her problems. To think he would invest so much in her. Not just financially either. For just a moment, she saw her father smirk. The image made her chuckle.
Lay off, you old dog.
She muttered under her breath. What was that? She turned to Flash and grinned.
We have some heartwarming traditions too. You like hot cocoa, Bullbutt?
He cocked his head and smirked. Was that a trick question? Vinyl began making 2 fresh cups.
I can't believe you bought me a synthesizer. I don't think you understand just how big this is. I've gotta find something for you now.
What? You seem to be having trouble with the whole gift-giving concept. He replied with a chuckle. Really, Vinyl, it's okay. I'm happy enough to just be here. She blinked and glanced his way, but Flash was already looking in an entirely different direction. His eyes were wide, and he appeared to be cursing to himself, which only made her smile broaden. The microwave chimed, and she pulled out the bubbling milk. Within seconds, she had the cocoa mixed in each mug. She threw in some cinnamon and marshmallows, and then turned for her bedroom, mugs floating before her.
Come on, let's get comfy.
He nodded and followed after her, but paused at the threshold of her bedroom. Why are we going in here? Vinyl chuckled.
Mind out of the gutter, Bullbutt.
She sat by her radio and set the mugs down on the windowsill. Half the blankets wrapped around her, she leaned against the bed, and she held the other half open.
You coming or what?
Flash's hoofsteps moved around the bed, slow and timid. His face was crimson as he rounded it and saw what she was offering. She patted the floor next to her, and after a few anxious seconds, he sat down. Vinyl let the blanket drop on him and took the mugs in her magic. He was keeping his distance, which she'd expected.
Back, Addie,
she said.
Flash has decided to pay us a visit.
Addie gave a cheerful,
Hey, Flash, happy heartswarming.
He blinked at the radio as he took one of the mugs in his hooves. Oh, hey, Addie. How are you?
Incredible.
Oh, good. He fidgeted, his cheeks still red as he made a blatant attempt to not look at Vinyl. Did something good happen?
We'll tell you about it later,
Vinyl said, before Addie could speak up.
For now, why don't we just...
She hesitated. How to get her message across without being too obvious?
Enjoy the moment?
Addie asked, a certain wry touch in her tone. Vinyl smiled warmly at the radio.
Yeah, that's it. Sounds good to me. Actually, I need to work on the garden, so I'll leave you to it. Good night, Vinyl. Flash. Good night, Addie.
Vinyl grinned and set the mic down on the radio. Silence. The ghosts continued to dance on the walls. The snow continued to drift beyond the window. Vinyl watched Flash out of the corner of her eye. He was sitting up straight, and his hooves toyed with his mug. Every now and then he took a sip. He kept shifting, as if afraid of the consequences of accidentally touching her. It was adorable, and she silently snapped at her father's ghost before he could burst out laughing at the thought. So, Flash managed to get out. Are there any rules to the hearth-warming traditions out here? Vinyl smiled and took a sip of her cocoa.
Only 2. First, whoever stays up the longest wins.
He gave a weak chuckle. Oh, you'll win that for sure. What's the second rule?
The second?
Vinyl chewed her lip and stared into her cocoa. She waited for the voice in her head to tell her to turn back now while she still could. But it never came. Upon realizing it wouldn't, she relaxed and did something that would have seemed crazy 4 months ago. She leaned against him. Flash tensed as she rested her cheek on his shoulder.
The second is to relax and enjoy one another's company.
Seconds passed, and then Flash began to relax. He leaned against the bed, heaved a long sigh, and rested his head against hers. Yeah. I think I can handle that one. Outside, the snowflakes waltzed on the wind, but inside, the shadows flitted and danced. That felt so wistful. I love that. Whenever something sparks your heart like that, oh god, it's so nice. Anywho, before I get emotional, let's get on to our romantic donators. Top donators: Jessie Smith, Star630, BadassWaffle, Only One Thing, Ceru, Orion, and IronSky. Matchbook 109, JockeTF, Darkseid, Rayden, Narwhals, Blackmoonheart, Pastel Skies, Austin Mullins, 2 Hextor, Brother Mordred, Omicron, Library, Rinthad, 9852, Will, Chris, Twinkie, Rysel, Shadow Moon, Luigi 88, Chancer Cross, Pix, Mook 369, Bobcat, GGF, Murder Princess, J1101, Calidus, and many more amazing people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.